Hi there everybody, Andy here from Stockdown and Lego. Thanks again for tuning into our YouTube channel. Today's topic is going to be all around pricing, okay? So you've selected your agent, you've talked about how you're going to present the property, things you could possibly do to the home to help you from a sale point of view. We need to drill down into this pricing side of things. We've mentioned in previous episodes about emotion versus logic. Well, basically I want to give you a couple of reasons as to how to sort of help you distinguish between the two. And then I'm going to give you a brief overview as to how you can package the way that your property price is presented online, just to explain that in greater detail. That also will help for buyers also, so please make sure you pay attention to that bit. So when it comes to pricing, the thing that you really want to try and keep in your mind is that whatever it is that you want to achieve, so whatever your target is, or you need X amount of dollars because you need X amount of dollars in order to build the next one, or you need X amount of dollars to be able to fund your trip abroad, or whatever the case may be. The simple truth of it is, and this is quite blunt I'm afraid, but buyers don't really care what target you have in mind, okay? Whether you need X amount of dollars in order to fund the kids' school programs, from a buyer's perspective, it really makes no difference whatsoever. All they care about on their side of things, and this is perfectly legitimate way to be for them, they're only interested in getting themselves a house that they can move into or that they can invest in, okay? So they really don't care about the goal that you're trying to set up and working alongside the agent in order to achieve that. Why do I mention that? Is the fact that you've got to make sure that you do have your logical head on when it comes to putting your property onto the market. At the end of the day, this is quite an intrusive process, and the last thing that you would want is for you to be flogging a dead horse, for want of a better word. You know, you don't want to be just going on the market in the hope that you're going to be able to achieve a figure that's way above and beyond what logic deems it to be worth, okay? So at the same time, like I've mentioned in a couple of previous episodes, you do want to have a bit of ambition here, and that's where we need to work inside what's called the reaction zone. But what you have to bear in mind is that whatever your target is, buyers will only pay what they believe it's worth, based on a bit of logic, which is all the information is out there and readily available for everybody to see nowadays, plus a bit of an emotional sort of pull towards properties as well, which is where presentation and things like that definitely come into play. The reaction zone that I mentioned about earlier, that's where you can play. That basically is a zone that you can play in that will allow for a bit of ambition. It will allow for you to try and get that little bit ahead of the game, and this is based on statistical data. So the studies have been conducted where properties where they've had a logical value, say of 400,000, generally the property sells within 5% either side of that range, whether it's 5% over due to emotional pull and attractiveness to a property, or 5% under, depending on whether the vendor needs to move it on a little bit quicker or something like that. So generally, if you do want to show a bit of ambition without completely wasting your time, if logic suggests that your property to be worth, say at 400,000, ideally you want to try and market it up to about 5% above that, because then that way you get into what's called the reaction zone, where you still have lots and lots of buyer inquiry, you have lots of intrigue, and people are thinking, okay, well I might have a budget of 4, but I might be able to stretch to 420, which would be 5% past. So whenever you're talking about pricing with your agent, always bear that in mind, that the reaction zone that allows you to show a bit of ambition without wasting your time and money on marketing and presentation is statistically around that 5% mark, plus or minus the target that you want to achieve, okay? Now, how to indicate your price. Now, There's different ways of doing this, okay? So, and it's all about how you want to package your proposition towards clients, towards purchasers. So say, for example, easiest way to do it is just to pick an example. So say, for example, that the target that you want to achieve is around that $400,000 mark. First way to do it is you can have a fixed price. Now the fixed price is designed so that it gives you a point from which you can work from, and from the agent's point of view, it means that they can deliver it to clients by saying that the asking price is X amount of dollars, and then from there you can either pay that and the property is yours, or you need to come back at us with a figure that you deem worthwhile. So for example, in this example here of 400,000, and bearing in mind we're looking to show a bit of ambition without wasting time and trying to stay within that 5% mark, a reasonable amount that you want to perhaps look to start on the market for is something like 419. Excuse the bad handwriting there. So if you go at something like a 419, it gives you enough room to negotiate. It keeps you in that reaction zone, so therefore you're going to have people inquiring on the property, and at the end of the day, if you don't have any inquiries, if you don't have buyers coming through the door, you've not got anything to work with in the first place. But it does show a bit of ambition, and when we're in a particularly hot market, there's nothing to say that purchasers can't go that little bit further past the asking price if you've got multiple interest on the property. And that has happened in the current marketplace that we're experiencing right now, which is very much a seller's market. The second way that you can package it is to do what they call a fixed range, and that is between 2 points, 2 price points. And ideally, the theory behind that is you want to have your target figure somewhere in the middle of the two. So it allows you to play within this 5% over and under. So the textbook way of doing a range based on an example price of 400,000 would be something like a 380 to 420. Because that puts you 5% either side of your target that you want to achieve. Now the theory behind that is the fact that you have this price here at a level that gets a greater volume of purchases going through, but at the same time you're indicating to purchasers that you are looking to negotiate from that 420 mark. Okay, so now what this can do is it can open you up to a few offers that are in that sort of 380s, 390s, which is below the $400,000 target that we're wanting to achieve. However, the agent that you are working with, you should feel confident in the knowledge that they have your figures in mind and not just their back pockets. Okay, so the range can be a decent option. At the same time, you want to be careful that when you're in a particularly hot market, so when you're in a seller's market, when there's lots of buyers around, you want to be careful about limiting yourself in terms of what you achieve, because the last thing you want to do is sell it super quick for that 420 market and be thinking, what if? When you're in a buyer's market, it can work pretty well because of the fact that you want to give a very clear indication as to where you are looking to negotiate within. And like I said, your 400,000 is plumb in the middle of that range there. Okay. The third option is to do an offers over mark. Now, when you're in a seller's market, so when you've got lots and lots of buyers kicking around, the offers over market is generally the most commonly used form of pricing, mainly because of the fact that you set a benchmark as to what you want to achieve, as the minimum, so minimum requirements where buyers need to be at least at that point in order to get into the front door, but it doesn't limit you from there, so you can go as far past there as possible. Now, there has been a bit of bad press a little bit further into the CBDs of Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane, where there's been some cases of underquoting, and there's been some bad press around that. So from a buyer's perspective, this method of marketing does sort of leave it open-ended to the point where buyers can get a little bit frustrated if they're not handled correctly and with the appropriate amount of courtesy. However, from the vendor's point of view, it doesn't limit you as to what you can achieve. So with this one here, you probably want to make sure that you stay relatively close to the mark. So you want to stay, like I said, within that 5%. And in this example here, in the current market, which is a particularly hot market, you probably want to start at something like a 390 plus. Or an offers over 390 or buys over 390, all the same thing. So what that will do is it gives the agent and you as a client the benchmark to say, right, where if you want to make an offer, it needs to be a minimum of 390. However, we are looking at offers over that mark as a minimum, and then it gives you plenty of opportunity to get plenty of dollars above the 400,000 that it is that you want to achieve. Okay. Now, the fourth way of doing it, I'm not going to bother writing it down, is to not put a price on it at all. Okay. Now, there are arguments either side of that to suggest as to whether that's a good thing or not. When you're in a time-based marketing campaign, whether it's an auction or a fixed date sale or a tender process or whatever, generally the first part of that marketing campaign is designed to not have a price on it to drive volume. However, if you're looking to do it via a private sale, so basically that means you're going to go onto the market with a set price, no time factor on it, then what it's designed to do is it is designed to drive volume through the home. Okay, you're going to get offers all over the place. Okay, so you're going to get offers at 350, you're going to get offers at 370, 390. Ideally, that's where you put the most amount of trust into your agent's hands, okay? Because if after the first couple of weeks you're not getting the sort of figures that you're wanting to achieve, so say for example you just put buy negotiation and you're trying to achieve 400,000 in the first couple of weeks, if all you're hearing from the agent is something way south of that, say that 370 or 375 mark, then you've got to be careful about the fact that you're attracting the wrong type of buyer and the buyers with the wrong amount of money into your home. So you've just got to be a little bit wary of that one there. It can work extremely well. You can get lots of people go through and it creates competition, which is fantastic. But if it goes the other way, then you could find yourself behind the 8 ball when it comes to selling your home. I hope that gave you a bit of an overview. If you have any questions, if you're on the market currently and you do need a bit of clarification as to why you're being priced at X amount of dollars or whatever it is, feel free to drop us a line on 5196 1444. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Take care.